Hey guys, Geek Domination here with your spoiler-free review on Doctor Strange. Zane.
Yeah, it was great. So we're going to talk about it now. As spoiler-free as possible. Come back later. We'll have another video up that's our spoiler review. So
Exactly. So you're the Marvel guru.
Yes.
Pretty much.
I generally know. Let me put it this way. I spent a good chunk of my later teens doing a lot of blind, pointless research on Marvel, so I know what's going on.
And let's be honest, if you've been following the podcast, which you can catch every Monday,
every Monday.
Know that Zane's always bringing up the comic book stuff because he's really, really passionate about
it. And something that I want to point out to everyone out there that's overly critical, which, mind you, we'll come to that shortly, but remember, MCU is now adjacent to Earth 616 and Earth 1610 that have existed in the comics for years.
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Simple put, various versions of the universes that Marvel has created, the cinematic universe sits apart from all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their new interpretations
cinematic version
accept them as that. So
yeah, absolutely. So I guess first things first is what did you think of the movie?
Good. Just good. Like, I'm not going to say it was most phenomenal. I'm not going to say it topped any others. In my opinion, actually, it runs just above middle of the road. It's like the most standard Marvel concepts you can come across. The dialogue brought it up. The visuals brought it up. That's why I put it above middle. But if you're talking about like the most basic concepts of plot structure and how Marvel writes, like if you had a checklist for everything that is Marvel,
okay,
this movie hits every mark. Just like, that's a Marvel thing. That's a Marvel thing. That's a Marvel thing. That's what I mean. For Marvel films, very middle of the road. Solid film overall, so it sits above most films, actually.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. When we were prefacing this review and like just quickly talking about it, he mentioned this, and I'm like, it felt like a standard Marvel origin story movie, and that's always a good thing because let's be honest, Marvel's done it best so far when it comes to origin.
They've hit it closest to the comics without making it feel like it's campy or bad.
So, going on to that thought, what did you think of this true to the comic book origins? A little played around with, or not at all?
The majority, yes. I'll tell you, these are not spoilers. If you've been seeing any trailer, you'll know. Mm-hmm. They changed the ancient one. We know this. From an old Asian male to being Tilda Swinton's Celtic backgrounded old white female,
which the explanation for in the movie, and again no spoilers, was very well explained. I thought
it was actually they didn't actually give an explanation why it was switched, which you don't need one. They just flat out put the explanation of like, oh yeah, she's Celtic of origin and she's old.
Yeah, but in the movie it made sense for her.
Especially when they built out more of the background on why she's old. Perfect reasoning. So beyond that, Baron Mordo they made black. Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Just cut to it. They made him black.
Because it's not a problem to me. Because the main core of what Baron Mordo is that he's a warrior first and foremost who has taught sorcery and has a rigid set of rules for himself. And we find out through the way that they built his character in this film. He's solid. He's a warrior. He believes in solid set of rules, and the behavior with him and Strange is the strain on the relationship is actually from that exact point of contention.
Yeah, I totally agree too.
That's all you needed. Like, it's nothing crazy. So that's all I have on the differences from the film and the comic. It's really, I will add, there is a slight difference when it comes to how he rises through the ranks within the sorcerers, like whatever you want to call it.
Right, but in like a 2-hour movie, you felt like it worked and it made sense.
It worked. It made sense. And what's interesting is the setup at the end of the film does it in a way that makes us understand that the reasoning behind him rising to become Sorcerer Supreme, which this is the only spoiler you get in this review, it doesn't happen in this film. Mm-hmm. I don't want you going in thinking that that's going to be the case when it's not. So just know that that's coming, and they set themselves up for it.
Yeah. Hold yourself.
Yep.
Don't blow that load yet.
There you go.
So, on the subject of Doctor Strange himself, Benedict Cumberbatch, how was he?
He was really great.
Yes.
And it's not even a real qualm. It's just one of those weird things I have about when foreign actors try to and they usually do a great job of becoming American accents.
Did you have a critical on
He has a specific, it's around R's.
Okay.
That his native accent starts to bleed in because he has weird pronunciations around R's and words.
Okay. I didn't notice it personally
for some reason. I have that in my head every time I'm watching a film and I know the actor's not of the nationality he's acting in.
Because, well, it's like the reason why we wanted him to be this so bad was because everyone loves Sherlock.
Oh my god.
So was that a part of it too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He killed it. He nailed it right on the head. He did what he needed to do. I thought it was, that Marvel did the usual thing of where they kind of throw in some random character traits that kind of make it really easy to figure out what kind of person he is. And they actually, it just hit me just now that the behaviors that he has during his surgery scenes with the music is actually paired up with the reasoning he has when people are asked, or when Mordo's asking him how he learned everything.
Oh yeah, maybe a little bit, yeah.
The photo. I'll say that the photographic memory. That's always been part of his character, and they have it in there just fine. But
super smart guy.
Yeah, it's really cool the way they built all that in. It's really cool.
Cool. Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. Good.
Yeah, just flat out good.
Yeah,
I don't need to go any further.
I'll be honest. Like for me, I've seen a lot of Tilda Swinton in movies. I need more Tilda Swinton in movies because anything she does, she's a chameleon. She can get into that role.
She gets right into it.
Yeah, balls deep.
It's amazing.
But no balls.
Yeah. No, it's just amazing because even I thought about the scene where she's explaining to him you'll need to open up your mind and stuff like that, and then she just punches him immediately. It's just you don't expect that out of the actress, but you expect that out of this character completely. She just goes for it. So I loved it.
I totally agree. That's gonna be a good one for the spoiler.
Yes.
Okay, so Chiwetel Ejiofor as Baron Mordo. Thank you.
Yeah. So the only thing that I just now realized too that they didn't touch on is in the comics he's built out to be both a warrior and a former baron, hence his name.
Oh, so he has
we don't really know his history. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, that it was left a little open because it does say in the I'll wait for spoilers on that.
Yeah. I won't go too far into it, but we don't really get a whole lot of explanation about his history.
Yeah,
a lot. I will say that.
Okay.
But he performed astoundingly. I'll say that. It was great watching him on screen. His every grimace, every grin, every sly facial expression, it was there.
Yeah, Chiwetel is amazing. He's he's incredible. One thing I will say though too, one of the biggest complaints Marvel's had is their villains. I think he's going to be a really good addition.
Yeah. Really solid though. I really liked it. What did you think of Wong?
I love Wong.
Wong is one of the best parts of the film.
I wasn't even going to bring him up, but yes, absolutely.
I had to. He has one of the greatest Easter eggs. So I'll tell this because this isn't really spoilery at all. But when they're talking about various relics within the film, something that he utilizes within the film is one that only eagle-eyed comic book fans will know, and that's the Wand of Watum.
So
that's
what is
his
that?
relic.
What the fuck is that?
It's one of those it just appears consistently as an arcane relic of great power in the comics, and in this. It apparently chose Wong.
Nice.
That's as simple as I can make it.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's sweet. And then I think rounding it up, 2 ones, we have, wow, I'm flubbing on her name, but the love interest of this movie.
Oh, Rachel McAdams?
Thank you, Rachel McAdams.
Sorry.
As the Dr. Love interest, as I'm going to call her.
Yeah, that's the easiest way to put it, because in all reality, I don't remember her from any form of comics history. She probably was in all reality, just like any other Marvel instance where they just sort of go, oh, we can throw her in as this former character.
Yeah, insert character mentioned here in some vague comment.
To put you guys in perspective, in original Thor with the Donald Blake reference, that was a shout out to the 90s era of the comics where he had 2 personalities.
Oh, okay.
It's one of those historical things where they just sort of go, oh, how can we work in this thing from the comics without breaking the system? But Rachel McAdams as a love interest, spot on, I would say. For what she needed to be. It's that simple. In all reality, she is a set piece character more than a driving factor within the film.
Okay.
And that just needs to be understood.
I agree with that. I thought she was great in her role too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Perfectly serviceable. And then Mads Mikkelsen as Caecilius.
Caecilius. It's funny ways. Caecilius. Again, at the end of the day, he's sort of the reason for the film. Without for half the film, I'll say that.
Scapegoat.
Pretty much a scapegoat character. He performs extremely well in what he needed to do. I would say the physicality that he brought to the role was far greater than I thought he was going to do. Yeah. Which leads me to even be more excited about Rogue One. Put that out there.
Jesus Christ.
God.
I won't get started on that.
Yeah, we don't need to. I'm throwing that out there. That his performance within this film got me excited to see him do more, and that's a film that I think he's going to wind up having to do a lot more.
Yeah, I totally agree too. I love Mads Mikkelsen. I think I've been like one of his
You've
biggest...
been shouting about Since Hannibal,
man,
which is another series that I have on my backlog.
Jesus, we'll have to watch that.
Yeah.
Great. I loved him, and I thought he was great in his role.
Yeah, there's really no more explanation for him.
Yeah, he was a perfectly servable Marvel villain. He wasn't the worst. He wasn't the best. He was just there.
And I'll add to that he doesn't bring the same kind of like vigor that the more recent villains have, where it's sort of like
Baron
Zemo, or the one before that with Ant-Man, Yellow Jacket.
Oh,
yeah. A lot of charisma.
Yellow Jacket.
To be fair, he's supposed to be played very flat, and he does a really great job of delivering that really just like cold, calculated, kind of isolated kind of behavior.
I'll be honest, as far as Marvel villains go, with like having a reason for doing what they're doing, I thought his reason made sense.
That's the thing. Yeah. It was logical. There was no gap in that disbelief. But again, he does wind up serving just to kind of drive Doctor Strange forward. It's kind of sad that that's what he was relegated to.
Absolutely. He's Mads Mikkelsen. I wanted more.
Yeah, that's the depressing part, is that even with the way it ended, we don't really know if there will be any more. But they could, in all reality. The way they did it was such a kind of vague...
Doctor Strange is strange, and anything is up for
So,
debate.
You want to do visuals?
I was going to say, so visuals was the biggest, I would argue, selling point of this movie, because out of the trailers we were seeing, it was like Inception 5.0. Was that the case?
And I'll add to that, it's like Inception 5.0 plus Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes!
Because the color palette is remarkably similar.
I love the color palette. It's really good.
It combined, actually, you know what, this is the best they've done. That's as easy as I can put it, in terms of the visuals, because you look at how Ant-Man built it with like the weird microverse stuff.
Yeah.
You look at how Guardians of the Galaxy did it with their whole like crazy nowhere and like all the other weird like galactic scenarios that they had in that, with all the crazy purples and greens all floating around the cosmos. And then he gets to this, and he literally, there's a whole sequence in there for about 15 minutes where it's just him flashing through various realities and dimensions.
Oh my god, that whole sequence event, I wish I could like cut that 5 minutes out of the movie, just rewatch it
a few times.
I loved it.
Well, it's crazy too, and we'll get to this in the spoiler review, but there's some stuff within that really fed probably the reasoning why the Ancient One chose him.
Definitely. We'll wait for a spoilers review on that, but I agree.
But that's an important facet of why the visuals were so powerful too. But in addition to all that, it was just the simple fact that, so I saw it in IMAX 3D because after reading the stuff about like, over half the film was actually filmed in IMAX reels, and like I was like, okay, that's more than a justification.
Yeah, it reminded me of The Dark Knight in many ways, because that was one of the first films to kind of like, this movie is IMAX specifically made for in certain segments. It was like 10 minutes.
If you don't see an IMAX, you lose out on this whole section of
Look
the
at
film.
the dimension!
Yeah. Which was one of those things where I was like, okay, I guess I have to see it this way. And then, of course, I was like, okay, with this ridiculousness of this film, 3D is probably the best way to go. And you know what?
Was it overwhelming, though? That was my only fear going into that.
It's hard to say because, especially with people like us where we have, glasses and contacts, we already deal with the problem of multiple pupillary distances, as well as the different, the focal points, two different focal points, or
especially if you have glasses on, you're already gonna be pissed putting a pair of glasses on.
So Katie did that, my wife did that, and then I did contacts, which in both cases you have a problem where you have a focusing lens different than the the 3D lens. Yeah, it's something that as a film goer you kind of have to grow to appreciate, and you just sort of go, okay, I can understand and get over this. It's not a big deal. But what it does for me personally is that oftentimes it screws with where the most amount of focus for the 3D is. Like usually you look at one spot and suddenly the whole image is fine, but then you kind of glance to the side and suddenly everything gets screwed up. Yeah,
that's been my biggest deal with it too, and that's why I prefer standard, because I
agree.
Hate focus and aspect ratio messing up in film.
Yes, so I did it that way. We didn't get nearly center because we didn't get there quite early enough. That's still my one downside to all other places that don't do reserved seating.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there. That's still a frustration of mine. But
oh man, they got to get with the times on that.
They really do. But cause I bought mine like a month out. I could have easily gotten the right seats.
No joke.
But yeah, no, it
worked.
Yeah, it totally worked.
It's good.
That scene is a little bit overwhelming, but it's not in a way that I felt was so different from the standard.
Okay, cool.
You see all the stuff flying past the screen, and sure, at times and at moments, the blur from the 3D effect kind of messes with you more than it should, but it finds its focus pretty quickly. They did a good job of having that pace, like you saw, like even the standard, where he'd move through, like, and then it would slow down for a second, and then it would move really fast again and slow down again.
Yes.
That allowed you to regain your bearings, so to speak, so you don't have wind up the same issues.
Okay. I was going to say for standard 2, I thought all of... I get what you're saying about the IMAX exclusivity. You want to go see it that way. I know a lot of people that say it's the best way to go. I'm still a proponent for standard. I love standard. I thought it was fine. I thought it was great in standard too. But I'm probably going to see it in IMAX too.
What's great is you can still see, there's certain showings, IMAX 2D. So
I hunt for those like a mother.
Yep. My big thing though was I had to go to the theater that had the real IMAX, where it was the proper stadium seating that goes up really high. Yes. The screen goes from like the ceiling to the floor. Because the one thing I hate is that nearby we have AMC 24, and they have a faux IMAX where it's projected in that definition, but the screen isn't the right, blown out. And
I've always annoyed that too. But yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
So all in all, I think it's definitely worth the viewing, more than worth the viewing. Especially, I'll put it out there, if you want to be inebriated, it is a rather enjoyable experience.
Oh God, I can handle it.
I think, did John Luke drink? Because I couldn't remember what he was saying.
We can go into spoilers on that part.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll wait for spoilers on that.
So, I can tell you this, it was enjoyable being inebriated, period.
Nice.
It was not a bad film for that. In fact, it just, like, I was looking at friends who were, on different things, and they were like...
Different wavelengths.
That was fun as hell.
All right.
Because it's a roller coaster ride. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
That's what this is.
Especially with that scene that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll even add that it's almost like... the first time people went on Magic Mountain and they would talk about how crazy that was and it bends with you a little bit. This is sort of like that for the entirety of a film.
I like that. I like that cut. It's a really good
and the pacing, it never really slows down in a way that makes you feel like you're in a slog moment or like a low point. Okay,
so pacing real quick before we get to the final thoughts. I did think there was one moment for me where I thought it lulled a little bit, but as every origin movie goes, you have to do these things to explain the characters.
Where about within the film? First act, second... Okay, so right in the middle.
Dead in the middle. But then that's always how the second act vamps into the third and builds the climax. I thought it was fine, though. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
It's a little...
And I'll admit, there was a little bit that one there. But it moves past it quick enough that you just get right back into the pace.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that was it. So,
final thoughts. So, what is your review for this movie? Like, if you had to rate it out of 1 out of 10. I know it's hard.
No, I'll say, I'll put it the way I've said it before. It's a high C, so it's like a 7.5.
7.5.
Yeah.
7.5. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought this was a good, solid 8 out of 10 movie for me. I thought it was well worth the price point. I really enjoyed my time with it. And I like movies that expand your thoughts and tell a really human story of bringing you back down, and I love that. His character made so much sense for me.
So the only drawback is that we're at a point now where the saturation of origins, we've kind of seen them all, and there's really, like I was telling you before this, there's probably about 10-ish that you can kind of do and rework in small ways, but it winds up being the same. And I think that's the only thing that hurts the film is the fact that there's just so many other origin stories that have existed now beyond DC, Marvel, and any other random franchise out there.
Yes.
That this winds up becoming a familiar story.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
It's a familiar beat. The plots are pretty similar to other movies in terms of first, second, and third acts.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to follow.
But it worked.
Yeah.
It always works.
Yep. So, yeah. Otherwise, it's really great. It's a really fun film, and that's the important thing. You should be going to see it for fun.
Yeah. Go see the movie, and then come back here for a spoiler review, which we're going to do in a couple minutes.
But you guys will see probably in a couple hours, an hour?
Maybe a day, maybe more. We'll see.
Yeah. We might give it some breath of time.
All right, guys. Well, until then, we'll see you here later. Later, guys.
Go over to geekdomination.net.
Oh, yeah.
Things.
There you
I
go.
almost forgot to put that in there.
Get the plug.
Get the plug. All right.
See you guys later, guys.